Now, I knew then that I had to change. I couldn't change the fact that I had Parkinson's, but I could change the way that I lived with it. So I started to educate myself, finally learning this thing called Parkinson's. Right? This is 8 years after diagnosis, finally learning this thing called Parkinson's. The more I learned, the more in control I felt. And although there was an onslaught of information coming in from all different directions, there were two things that were very consistent. Number one, you already heard it. We're an hour and change into this conference. You've already heard it like 16 times. Exercise, 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 right? That's the first thing. Today, we know that high intensity exercise is the only treatment proven to halt or slow progression of Parkinson's. Now, let me say that again. High intensity exercise is the only treatment proven to halt or slow progression of Parkinson's. Let's remember that, okay? Number two, I am not alone. I don't have to do this all on my own. My friends and my family were apprehensive around me because I was apprehensive, okay? Now, talking about this openly made it a little bit less scary. There are others out there like me, just like me, that are dealing with the same burden as I am with Parkinson's. Now, they figured out different ways to handle it, and all I have to do is reach out and learn from their experiences, right? So what did I do with all this information? Of course, I started to exercise. I walked around the block with my cane until I became more confident in the way that I moved. Then I walked without it. And then I started jogging and I started running. And pretty soon, one time around the block became two. And next thing you know, that added up to a mile. And then one day, I was traveling for business and I was sitting in the airplane. And right there in the seat back pocket, there was a magazine. It was a Runner's World magazine. This is in 2012. And I opened it up and I was flipping through it, and sure enough, there was an article in there about a gentleman running a marathon and he had Parkinson's. Now that inspired me to run even more. The more I ran, the better I felt. I was learning how exercise is helping me manage my on and off periods with my medication. I'm also learning how to optimize the dosing of my medication. I'm learning something about myself, guys. I'm learning that I am stronger than I thought I could ever be. Now with this, I began to ask myself each day, what did I do today to be better than I was yesterday? Even if it's just taking one more step or doing one more rep in the gym, what is something today that I'm doing more than I did yesterday? Now, since 2012, these one mores have led to some pretty amazing accomplishments. Now I continue to push my limits, and now I am unstoppable. Between 2012 and 2015, the 3-year span, I was unstoppable when I ran over 5,500 miles, and I took part in a 50-mile ultra marathon where I also had the honor of running with 5 other persons with Parkinson's, taking on either the full 50-mile challenge or running a team relay. In 2016, I was unstoppable as I continued to run, and I also became the first person with Parkinson's on record to complete a 100-mile bike ride in under 5 hours. Now that's holding a 20 plus mile per hour average over the course of the entire 100 miles. In 2017, I was unstoppable when I competed for the first time as an American Ninja Warrior. In 2018, I am unstoppable when I returned to American Ninja Warrior, and I also finished 4th in my age group at the Spartan World Championships. In 2019, I was unstoppable as I once again returned to American Ninja Warrior, and I completed the Chicago Marathon that year while doing 351 burpees along the entire route, including running a marathon. Today, guys, I am unstoppable, competing in my 4th season on American Ninja Warrior, and just this past August, I broke the world record for the number of chest to ground hand release burpees in 1 minute, breaking the record by 2. And of course, this coming Wednesday, guys, at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I will be attempting to break a push-up world record, and I invite all of you to join the live stream on Facebook or Instagram. All you got to do is just search up Jimmy Choi, and you should be able to find me and watch live on Wednesday. Now, all in all, these one mores that I've been doing each day have added up to a total of 4 times on American Ninja Warrior. 1 burpee world record, 1 ultra marathon, 16 marathons, 105 half marathons, countless 5Ks, 10Ks, 100-mile bike rides, triathlons. But you know what? All that is great. None of that compares to the fact that since 2012, my wife and I have helped raise more than $500,000 for Parkinson's research. Now that is a far cry from the 240-pound cane-wielding Jimmy from 2010. And I couldn't have gotten here if it weren't for the things that I learned along the way, right? Of course, guys, it wasn't easy, right? I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not easy. Parkinson's and life in general has a way of just throwing obstacles in your way, right? And sometimes they seem flat out impossible. But I have learned that there are always a way around an obstacle, okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and stop the share because I'm gonna show you guys, do a little demonstration here for you guys. There we go. All right, so you guys remember these things? Here, I'm gonna get closer here. That's right, it says the yellow pages, right? It's a phone book. It's funny because I joke about these things. I tell the kids that this was our Google of the 1900s, okay? It's heavy, it's thick, and let's just say that if this represents an obstacle that life is gonna throw at you, and the only way to get through this obstacle was to rip your way through this phone book, you would think that it's so thick that it's impossible, right? Well, just like if you told me that 17 years ago that I would be competing with some of the best athletes in the world, and I would have Parkinson's while doing it, I would have told you that was impossible. But along the way in my journey, I have learned that I don't have to rip a phone book in half and all at one go. I can achieve the same thing if I just break it down into smaller, more obtainable goals, okay? Remember, all I need to do is try to do more today than I did yesterday. Sorry. Now, let's start with this, okay? One page at a time. And we're gonna increase the number of pages today. We're gonna start with just the cover, one page. And then tomorrow we're gonna rip 2 pages, okay? And then three pages. Now we're gonna keep going at this pace. We're gonna keep going at a pace that is safe and that is right for you. Everybody's gonna be different, right? I might be able to do a little bit more than somebody, but in 2 months, you might be able to do more. Now, as I trained my way through these pages and working on my more each days, I learned an important lesson along the way. I have learned that everyone has a different perspective on fitness. One person's definition of fit can be completely different as another person's, right? I remember one time in 2015, I had just ran my fastest marathon. And it was at the charity event at the end of the marathon that the winner of the marathon actually came up and said, "Hey, congratulations, what was your time?" Now, this guy just ran 26 miles in just over 2 hours, and he was asking me what my best time was. And I felt a little silly when I say, "Oh, it was 3 hours and 40 minutes. But you know what? His response was genuine, and it was shocking to me. He said, "Wow, that's incredible. I could never do that." Now I'm thinking, what? You just ran an entire marathon, the same distance I ran in about half the time. Why in the world are you impressed, and how can you say that you can't do that when you're much faster? He says, "You know what? I might be able to run an entire marathon in 2 hours and 11 minutes or whatever it is that he did it in that year. But if you ask me to go out there and run continuously for almost 4 hours, I can't do it." So by that definition, you are fitter than I am, right? So I thought about that. That changed my view on fitness forever, guys. What he said made a lot of sense. And he was right. Everybody has their pace and everybody has their thresholds, right? I realized then that in that moment, I should never, ever compare myself to anyone except myself, okay? Now, what I thought once was impossible, just doing a little bit more each day, as you guys can see, it is possible to beat an obstacle like tearing a phone book in half, right? Now, my only limitations are the ones that I put on myself, okay? So if I working on more each days, who knows? Maybe today I can only rip 20 pages. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow I can rip 100 pages. Maybe one day 975 pages doesn't seem too impossible. And I can rip it all at once. Okay? So as you guys can see, just by doing a little bit more each day, we can all get through obstacles. Now, I'm going to be honest though, guys. The stronger I got, my symptoms never, and they didn't necessarily go away. But my body is better adapted to handling them. There was only one problem. Parkinson's doesn't stop. So in order for me to stay ahead, I have to keep maintaining my level of fitness, which some people would describe as a crazy amount. And I know it's hard, but I did find something that works for me. And that is something that's giving me a little bit of control over my journey with Parkinson's. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and restart the share for you guys. There we go. All right. You know what? All of this is great, but how do I stay motivated to keep moving along? So, in order for me to keep moving, it means that I have to find motivation, right? I got to get up and move. But we know that's not hard, that's not enough, because you have motivation. Finding motivation every day is hard. Finding reasons to get up and move, especially these past 8 months when we're not allowed to leave our homes, when gyms are closed, our access to equipment, to trainers, to face-to-face interactions with our friends and families are all limited, right? This is why you have to be more than just motivated. This is also why you have to be disciplined. When I'm disciplined, I am dedicated to my goals. And I've realized that the goals are hard to achieve, require a long-term commitment and consistency. I have to plan and make myself do all of these little things that it takes to achieve these goals. Sometimes though, even with motivation and discipline, it's not enough. When there is no outside force motivating me to move, when I'm just too dead tired to move, and I have already told myself that quitting is the best option, I have to rely on determination. And determination to stay ahead of PD. I am determined to give my body the best chance to help my mind control Parkinson's. I am determined to never go down without a fight. Now, why is that important? To give my body and mind the best chance I can? Well, because it means I am buying time. Buying time for what? Well, guys, just 6 years ago, there were exactly 0 clinical trials classified as disease modifying. That means halting or reversing your symptoms of Parkinson's, right? Now today, there are over 50. That's right, 50 clinical trials classified as disease modifying, on top of all the others that are out there that are addressing symptoms. So I call that hope. And that's why we need to give ourselves more time. So you see, since 2012, I have used motivation, I've used discipline and determination to help me stay committed to the fight. It has allowed me to not only prepare my body and my mind, but it has also given me this platform to share my story with you. All right? I hope that all of you will go out and share your story as well. Big or small, it doesn't matter. It is important to share. You really never know who's listening. Your son, your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter, your neighbors. Somebody's always listening. Now remember that Runner's World magazine I read in 2012? That moment came full circle in 2015 when Runner's World published a story about me as I prepared to run the New York City Marathon. And then again, last October when I completed the Chicago Marathon while doing the 351 burpees. Now maybe someone else will read my story and get inspired to move like I did. And maybe they will inspire others to move as well. Now I can't stop what I do because once again, Parkinson's doesn't stop. Medication, exercise helps, but it never really goes away. And I hear this all the time, right? Oh, Jimmy, you don't look like a person with Parkinson's. And this is where educating the public becomes a necessity and raising awareness becomes that much more important because people don't see the non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's, like loss of smell, loss of cognitive functions, and constipation, right? Just to name a few. Now, I might be able to compete in nationally televised competition and run for miles, but these are things that almost anybody can do. things that people can do if they put in the time to train. However, every healthy person can tie their shoes or button their shirt. Unfortunately, these are things that anyone can do without training that people with Parkinson's have difficulty with. Now, before I wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with one last story, okay? Story about how I took a weakness and turned it into a strength. When I train, I always train with a purpose. Everything I'm doing in the gym has a purpose. I'm constantly assessing where my weaknesses are in terms of my movement. For example, a few years ago, I was falling a lot, right? That's why I needed a cane. And I still fall today, but to make myself safer should I fall, I started doing burpees. Now let's think about this. This exercise alone simulates the fall, as you just saw in the video, right? And then getting back up. If I use this to train myself, it allows me better control my body should I take a fall to avoid injury. And then I use all of those muscles to push myself back up. Now, if I can get better at doing burpees, I can have a better chance of getting myself up should I fall. And that, what started out as a desire to learn a survival skill, guys, has led to an opportunity to set a world record for burpees. Now, we all want to maintain as much of our normal as possible. The path that we take might be a little different, okay? Michael J. Fox said this about his passion and his work. Acting is what I do, and I need to find different ways to keep doing it. You can replace the word acting with whatever it is you want that you're passionate about, right? That statement will apply to you as well. Just remember this: finding ways to keep doing things is just a motivation. Discipline and determination are the things that you need to move that forward, okay? I know we're running out of time, so after all, 10 years ago, there's another example. I used to use a cane to walk up and down the stairs. Today, I'm doing the exact same thing as you can see from this video. It's just a little different, right? There's a movement, guys, with people with Parkinson's, and all you have to do to join that movement is move. Thank you guys very much. Have a great rest of the day. Take care.
Awesome, Jimmy. Thank you so much. I mean, you can see in the chats, people are already super excited talking about going and doing burpees. I just have one quick question. Now, we heard a lot, about some of all of the amazing things that you've done. But do you have a moment or a story where, honestly, your Parkinson's got to you and it's still, maybe that day it took you out, but the next day you said, you know what, that was yesterday, and now today I'm going to take it on again?
Yes, and that happens at least once a week, to be very honest with you guys. People see these videos of me doing these things, and they're getting a 1 minute look into my entire 24-hour day, right? And any given day really is about 6 hours of good movement. The rest of it, I'm struggling along, trying to find the right balance between medicine and movement. But when life hits you down, this is where that discipline comes in. Even when I'm off, I do try to move. I know I'm not going to do as well as I normally would, but I have to have the discipline to stay moving. And then I got to have the determination that when the next day comes, it's a new day. And we all know these cycles of on and off periods. You will come on at some point, and then you have to take full advantage of that. Chad, you're on mute. So I. All right. Well, Chad's on mute, guys. I can't hear him. I don't know if you can hear me, but looks like we're out of time. So we're on to the next session, guys. Thank you very much.